So good morning, good evening, good afternoon to wherever you are in this world. A very, very happy new year and a very warm welcome to 2023 with our first Academy session for Employee Center. If this is the first time that you're attending, I just want to set some expectations on what this Academy sessions are about. First, these are sessions that we have designed for you. This is your time with the product team to ask your questions, interact. We have topic every month, and that's the scope of the discussion for that meeting. But please use this time to ask whatever question that you may have. We don't want to treat this as a presentation. This is not a webinar, definitely not a webinar. It is something that we want to use as a discussion and a place where we will be showcasing the product live as much as possible. And we will be doing some live configurations. We are very open to open an instance and actually walk you through if you have questions on how something gets done. And this is a monthly series. Once you register for all of these. So for those who are attending it for the first time, next month, you will see a reminder coming in your inbox talking about our next session, which is going to be on February 15th. So a thumb rule around this, every third Wednesday is when we have an Employee Center Academy, always at the same time, 9 a.m. Pacific. And we have an event created on Employee Center community to talk about what the topic for the month will be. In terms of logistics, please use the chat for what we have been using it so far, just to chit chat, to just have your comments, just to talk about like engaging with people around the globe. But for actual questions, please use the Q&A panel. Our presenters and panelists are monitoring the Q&A panel, and that's where your questions will get answered or live. We are not monitoring the chat for Q&A. And don't worry about taking notes. Please use this time to just absorb and learn. We will have the slides. We will have the recording available to you. The recording can be accessed via YouTube as well as via Employee Center community, the Employee Center community page on it. And it takes about a week before all of these material can be processed and uploaded into these platforms. So please be patient. Within a week, you will see a recording for this posted out. Now, before we get started, one more thing. We have shared some resources via chat, but we also want to highlight that some of the places where you should keep track of as you are dealing with Employee Center and working on it. One is Employee Center community. We have a lot of good content on Employee Center already on community, everything from frequently asked questions to implementation guides to this best practices. We have a lot of different things that we post on community. And in 2023, we plan to expand it quite a lot, including demos on just the community page. We have a training, Employee Center Essentials, which is absolutely helpful, especially if you're new to Employee Center and you're trying to understand what are the different capabilities, how do I work with it. This is really helpful. I highly recommend this for your team who is going to work on Employee Center on day in and day out. Then last but not the least, we have the Now Create resources. If you're implementing Employee Center on your own, these are very helpful. And then we have the YouTube playlist which you can use to access all the Employee Center related events that we have been doing via community. So it's either the live on ServiceNow webinars or Employee Center Academy. All of those will be present on YouTube. So great bunch of resources. All of these you will find, links to these you will find on the chat right now. So our topic for today, we are going to talk, we're going to start our 2023 session with a very interesting topic, portal governance. I'm sure as you are thinking about deploying Employee Center, not just for one department, but for like more than one department, how do you govern it? How do you organize your team? What are the important things to think about are really on top of your mind. So For those of you who don't know me, I'm one of the speakers in this session today. My name is Pooja Gupta. I'm an outbound product manager with the employee experience team in ServiceNow. And I'm joined by Aarti Sheppel, who's the product manager for our internal portal. We call it the employee portal at ServiceNow, and she'll be sharing how within ServiceNow we cover the portal. Aarti, you want to say hi to everyone?
Yeah, hey, hello everybody. Happy New Year to you. And I'm really looking forward to chat more on this topic. It's really important and would love to share what we have learned and would like to help you guys as well. Okay? Looking forward to talking to you.
Thanks, Aarti. So here's how we will spend the rest of the time today. First, we will start by just some high-level overview of what is portal governance. What are the different things to be considered within it? What are some of the basic guidelines or best practices that we have? And then we will dive deep into the capabilities that we have been investing in as a product within Employee Center to help you build the governance model in your organization or choose whatever governance model you want it to be. So I'll give you a quick overview of those capabilities. And then for the bulk of the time, we will spend just talking to Aarti, and Aarti will be sharing with us how they are governing the employee portal. So hopefully this is an interesting agenda, and let's get started. So what is portal governance? And the term governance, I know, can be confusing for many people. Like, is it management? Is it governance? The way we define governance here is essentially, it's the structure in which you make decisions about how your experience on the portal is managed. And the experience is essentially what capabilities to invest in. What does your homepage look like? What should your browse experience be? What your search experience be? What should become a microsite? What should become an article? These are all experience-related decisions. It's about how you're making those decisions. Secondly, it's about how you are defining your taxonomy. So there are decisions that you need to make, whether, let's say, you choose that your taxonomy is IT, HR, org chart, or like how we ship out of box with Employee Center. Or let's say you choose it to be something different, which is more about me, my work, need help, or something like that. So how do you define what that taxonomy is? There's a decision that needs to be made around that. And then around content management, everything from catalog items to knowledge articles, defining audiences for it, communications that are made across the portal, whether it's on homepage or a portal or a topic page, localization of content. There are all these different things that one need to decide on how we are going to approach it, what our strategy is, who owns it, who has the decision right. The structure that you're following for this is what we are defining as portal governance. Please feel free to just keep posting your questions or raising your hand. I'll be very happy to address any questions while going. Now, when it comes to Employee Center and when we think about the portal governance for Employee Center, one of the main things that is important to keep in mind is that you need a central team. And this is especially true for organizations who are building a multi-department portal on Employee Center. Let's say it is IT, HR, two big stakeholders. You need a central body who is thinking not from an IT perspective, not from an HR perspective, not from any other department perspective, but is thinking about what is the experience that we are providing from an employee perspective, what an employee is getting as they are dealing with the organization, irrespective of who they are working with, IT, HR, or anyone else. So you really need a central team. And that's one of the biggest takeaways that we have, that you should have as part of this meeting, is irrespective of which organization you are, you need to start thinking about building a central team for your employee center. Now, how much that central team owns, how much they delegate out, depends on what your organization's operating principles are or preferences are. And you should expect that to also change as you are doing more with the portal. When Aarti will talk, you will hear from her that it's been a journey, like governance model, getting to the governance model of where what works for them has been a journey. They didn't start where they are today, and they're not going to stay where they are today in over the next couple of years. So it's a journey, and as you are doing more with the portal, what you are delegating out, who you are delegating out, what is centralized keeps changing. Then what we have seen working for most organizations is a federated model. So it's like if the central team owns everything, it becomes too much for the central team to own. And it becomes a lot of ad hoc work for the departments to get even small little changes through the central team. And we have seen that most organizations do not like that approach. Instead, the approach that has been working for most organizations, and you may not be among those, that's okay, is that the central team is defining the guidelines. It is acting like the central body that is like governing all the other departments, and the other departments do own pieces of the portal, which they have the freedom to make changes in, to like to make their own, and play around with however they want to offer services to their customers. Having said that, the central team must own a few things, because these are the things that cannot be departmental centric and need to be more employee facing. First is homepage design and maintenance. You want the homepage to be very much how an employee would want it to be. So like you need the central team to figure out how an employee is searching for different content and design the homepage accordingly. It should not be an IT homepage. It should not be an HR homepage. It should be your organization's homepage. And that same principle needs to be applied in all other places as well. So as the central team is working on the homepage, they should be coming up with design principles and branding guidelines that if they're delegating out the other pages to other departments, they share it with them and teach them. The top level taxonomy topics is something that the central team must define, of course, in tandem with other departments and taxonomy owners, but ownership should be the central team. The browse and the search experience, these are again things which are not necessarily departmental specific, so the central team must own and drive. Portal analytics, as you are building this whole enterprise level experience, analyzing it, looking at usage, looking at where people are spending time, where are the gaps, how the funnels are working. All of that is something that there should be someone in the central team to own and drive. And last but not the least, Employee Center or any other portal is actually not a project. It's not something you create and you forget about it. It's a product. And it needs to be maintained like that. You need to have a vision of where you are going with your portal. You need to have a roadmap associated with what are the new capabilities that you're going to adopt and when. What are the issues that you're facing and how are you going to resolve that? What are the desired capabilities, whether you're going to build it or you're going to like wait for what we have from ServiceNow. All of that is product management around the portal. And it is something the central team must own. A lot of time this is owned along with the platform team, which kind of brings the who is the central team? Where do we get it from? And we've seen different organizations have different approach for it. You would see how we are doing within ServiceNow, but I've also seen that the ServiceNow platform team or the ServiceNow Center of Excellence kind of takes ownership of this. That's also one approach. It could be a central governance body, which is what we have internally, where different stakeholders come and like represent the body. So that's definitely there. I'm going to do one more slide and then I'll pause for some questions that I'm seeing in the Q&A panel, and then we'll go further. So what are the personas in the central team versus the local team? And I have local team in quotes because this local team could be a regional team if you are building like a global portal, or it could also be a departmental team. So essentially, the central team, if you would look at the personas that I have listed over here, are pretty much in line with like what are the core capabilities that, what are the core things that the central team must own. So you need a product manager, you need a taxonomist, you need a UX designer and a UX researcher, data analyst, content author, especially if you're thinking about communications, and tech support. I'm not going to go too much in detail for like how all of these are, like what are the responsibilities, because I think it's kind of obvious, but if there's any question on that, please let me know on the Q&A panel. But these are essentially what we think are critical roles that a central team must have. The local team, on the other hand, would essentially be the content provider. So content authors, catalog contributors, and if you are delegating topic management to the local teams, then you would have topic owners. If the local team has rights to create their own design for the topics, then you would need a UX designer over there, or that team would need to work more closely with the central team. Services would typically be owned by the local teams, and we don't expect that model to change at all. So it's not that the central team will own all of that, unless you are investing in enterprise service model and like you have a completely different approach. Okay, so I'm going to pause for questions here and then dive into EC capabilities. The first question I see is, will federated model work if you don't have EC Pro? I think yes, because all the capabilities, like there are capabilities that I'll talk about, which will allow you to become federated in how you do content management and like taxonomy management and even experience design. This is essentially delegation of like topic pages, and I'll talk about it. So yes, you can have the federated model. The next question I'm seeing is, has analytics evolved to capture visit and usage data on topic level, not just a page on the portal? Louis, it's a good question. I think we can do topic level, but I think you might not be able to do on an individual topic level. And I'll have to double check on that. And so after every session, we capture FAQs and we put it on the community page, and I'll make sure we have a concrete answer to this. Okay. Okay. Cool. So I'm going to go forward. So the first capability that I want to talk about, and this is a newer one that came out, I think in August. And the good thing about this is that irrespective whether you're an EC or EC Pro, you can think about how you are delegating ownership of different pieces within Employee Center. So what we have done is we allow the taxonomy admins to define taxonomy managers at a topic level. So let's say I am in the central team and I own the entire taxonomy. I can define individual A who sits in IT to own the IT topic. And this person will essentially have the entire rights of adding topics, moving different topics, updating topic details, changing the template that is assigned on the topics, defining who would be the topic contributors, who will like knowledge contributors and catalog contributors, what content should be tagged on this. So everything that needs to be done at a topic level, this topic manager can do. And this particular capability was, we brought this in because ultimately, when we were hearing organizations struggle with deploying Employee Center, one of the areas that they were struggling with was that departments did not want to lose the authority or ownership that they had in their own portals. And there were some hesitance working with a single central body to, do even smaller changes. With this approach, the central team is essentially delegating out the management of the entire topics to the departments. And the departments will pretty much treat their topic pages as their own website, like their own portal. Because they'll have the right to change the look and feel for it. They have the right to change what topics are underneath it, what content is associated in it. And of course, they are doing this in the defined guidelines for branding, for portal design that the central team has done. So in fact, they get a lot of support from the central team. Any questions on this? Okay. The second one, yes, Helen, these are deployed. These are already shipped as part of our August store release. So this capability is available. So the next one is, let's say you don't want to assign topic managers, but you do want the communication that is made on those topics to be assigned to someone else. And let's say, you are taking a federated model just for communications. So the communication team owns the communications on the homepage, but the IT team owns the communications made on the IT topic page, or HR owns the communications made on the HR topic page. And they want to retain control. So HR, the owners that have been assigned for HR are the only ones who can, you can post content over there. A great example is specialized topics like benefits, travel, and policy. There are typically people who are more familiar with it, and they are the only ones who can post content on it. So with this capability that I'm showcasing over here, you can actually delegate content publishing for a topic, and only those who have been assigned the content manager ownership for that topic are the ones who can post content. And by content over here, I essentially mean the communication content. It's basically the banners that you see on top. So this is an EC Pro related capability. Could I request everyone to please post your questions on the Q&A panel? It's hard to follow with questions on the chat. Thank you. The third capability that I want to highlight, this is what might be beneficial if you're having a more centralized model, or if you are looking for something that needs to go on the homepage and you have to work with the central team for it. Or let's say you are someone who doesn't have the ownership for adding content in a particular page, and you want to work with the communication team. So this is essentially an end-to-end workflow for requesting content, and again, communication content, to be posted on the portal. It starts on the very left screenshot over here, so the top left at the very back. It starts with a request item on the portal. So we actually have a request item shipped out of box that any employee could use who have been given access to that item to request a company communication to be posted on the portal. And they can add all the details, who the audiences for this communication need to be, what's the start date, what's the end date, where do they want this communication to be posted, what content they want it to be included, and so on, all in that form. And that form actually goes to the content authors, who can then work with our content library interface and design it. They have all the capabilities that we have for the content library interface, and translate it, design it, edit it, and send it back to the author for review. and the author can actually, not the author, the requester can actually review it, give feedback, and then work back and forth, and then post the content out. So we have this entire workflow shift to make it easy to request communications to be made on the portal. And like the communications teams really like this, because in the absence of this, most communications requests were being handled via email. Okay. We have an announcement to this, which is coming in February. So I just wanted to highlight that. Both the content authors and the requester will be able to add additional approvers for a content communication that is being requested to be made on the portal and other channels. So this really helps to make sure the right communications is being made on the portal. All right. This is all I had. I'll keep answering the questions that are on Q&A panel, but would like to hand it over to Aarti to give a real life example of how the whole governance system that we have been talking about works in practice. Aarti, over to you.
Thank you, Pooja. Thank you so much. And hi again, everybody. So before I dive into how are we doing it internally within ServiceNow, I just wanted to give you a brief context. So we are customer zero. We are call ourselves as customer zero for our own products. So what we get to see is the products a little early than what you all get. And this is where we give the feedback. This is where we try to do the experimentation. So we are very strategic partners with our product team. And that's why we call ourselves as customer zero. This is one thing I wanted to really call out. Second thing is, within ServiceNow, we do not have any intranet. Our EC Pro or Employee Center is our version of intranet, and in all true sense, it is the multi-department portal. All our enterprise-wide services are being available. The content is being available on the portal. So it's really the go-to place for our employees because we do not have any other alternative. And because people are liking it. It's not just we are forcing it, but yeah, we have a great satisfaction rate. We have good self-solve and all that thing. And third and most important thing is, ServiceNow's IT especially is very strategically positioned. So as I said, like in addition to be a customer zero, there is an art of possibility. We try it on the platform. So we experiment a bit on the platform, on the Employee Center, and see if, and use it as a better version, right? We see what employees are seeing. And then again, with the close product partnership, we try to bring it to you guys as well. So these are the 2-3 important aspects I wanted to share it with you, that who we are in true sense with our product team and how do we drink our own champagne. So next slide, please, Pooja. So what I'm going to do is today, I'm going to give you a brief background around how the homepage experience, what is the governance model around it, and then what is our content governance around catalogs, requests, knowledge, and topic pages, and all that. Excuse me. But on the home page also, there are 2 smaller buckets of the home page. One is the ongoing employee communications content, and then there are some strategic capabilities which we bring as a part of homepage experience. So I'll talk about both of these. So next slide, please, Pooja. So homepage again, first and foremost thing is, I know one size doesn't fit all, but fundamentally you need to plan what are the principles of having the employee center in your organization, what principles you want to adopt. When you go live with Employee Center or when you already have the Employee Center, it is a very important thing. Why? Because it will give you the flexibility that who takes the ownership, how do you delegate that governance model, and where do you need your executives to back you up. So first, in our scenario, I think we wanted this to be available and relevant for our entire global employee base. There are certain content types where you need to make them dynamic. You need to keep them updated, refreshed, because that's the way where people are coming and trying to stay updated with enterprise-wide comms and all that. In order to keep that content fresh, engaging, and all that, that promotes the engagement of your employees to be on the employee center. And it also has the business impact. We have seen this business impact firsthand during the pandemic days, as well as how we transitioned during the hybrid workforce. I think it was very, very critical. And then fundamentally, it also sets a tone for all our employee base, that what is ServiceNow's purpose, what are our priorities, what is our culture, and so on and so forth. And then brand is something, we all associate ourselves with it. So these are certain principles which we have adopted. You may cherry pick from here, or you may have completely unique set of principles, what works for you and your employees. So I think it's worth investing time and efforts in hashing out these principles. Once this has been done, how we are having that, especially for the strategic capabilities, what are we doing exactly? So when we have these new capabilities, art of possible on platform, I think we then involve our C-suite comes together in the form of steering committee, in the form of governance model, whatever you want to label it out. The alignment happens at that level, and trust me, it is so smoother once the alignments happen. Do they get involved in every small or medium-sized project? Probably not, but their execs are there to review the value of what we are bringing to the portal, and then how it is going to simplify the life for our employees. So basically, the alignment happens at the C-suite level. And then what you would see over here is, here for the sake of example, I have involved 3-4 major players over here. So we have our HR team, and then so it's HR business function. When I say HR team, it means the HR business function. Then we have product team, the people who are building and shipping the employee center to you guys. We have employee communications team. These people are very important in setting up that purpose and culture, and then it needs to be sprinkled all around the portal. It's not just that we enable one banner and that's it, but the comms team is there to sprinkle who we are throughout our global employee base. And then IT is again very strategically positioned over here. So IT is owning the internal version of our employee center, but IT also has a very strong UX team internally, and that is where they shake hands with the brand team to set the tone, the look and feel, and so on and so forth. But at the same time, within IT, we have the teams who are dedicatedly engaging with our workplace services team, our legal team, and then if needed, we also give the tech support to that. So again, as I said, like when I meet with our customers, especially on the Employee Center Pro, I think the department-centric portals, and then how do you truly unify them? I think that the alignment starts at the C-suite, and then everybody rallies around, right? They come along as one team, no matter which business function you belong to. It's your project, and then this is how it has been done. So basically, you can pick and choose what departments you want to bring along in your first implementation, and then those right team members can be coming in together and making those strategic and operational decisions both. And how I'll give you a sneak peek into how the process happens in our scenario. So in our world of ServiceNow. So Pooja, next slide, please. So this is how the process happens. All the intake, it comes formally. We use our demand management. We use our demands uh, uh, to 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 submit what is the value proposition behind enabling this capability or building this capability. This is very important. I think this is the first important thing what we did, and then our execs, and then the demand goes through the process. It goes through the review, and then if and there is a lot of tough questioning happens around that during those demand conversations before that gets approved. And once that gets approved, we have, as I said, like IT has a dedicated team of user research and user experience. So the research happens. Usually we try to get thoughts and inputs and feedback from our employees spread across the globe. So that's the user research team shares the feedback. And based on that, we evaluate like, hey, are we trying to solve the right problems? Is this something going to add value to our employees? And once that has been done, then the alignment, all the board members, that is where they see that they align themselves when they see a value to it. Based on that, a prototyping or the design mockups as well as the prototypes gets created. And then again, the governance board review them before it gets completely implemented. So this is the model we are following. We are on that journey again, as Pooja mentioned. We have started on this journey. We are on these journeys. We need to fine tune ourselves. We will be iterating ourselves based on where we see the inefficiencies or dysfunctionalities. But right now, this is the model, and everybody is equally, participating in this particular process. No department feels like, oh, are we left out? Or how Pooja mentioned that, are we losing the control? Do we? So everything is done in an employee-centric way rather than a department-centric way, and that's where these governance board members play the crucial role. Next slide, please, Pooja. Before I go to the next slide, please type in your questions in your Q&A, and happy to answer if you have any. And Pooja, please feel free to, ServiceNow team, please feel free to chime in if there are any relevant questions which can be answered on the spot as we are on that context. Now, what you have seen in the previous slide is more, how each and every initiative or enablement or a new build is being reviewed. But then there is another component to it, as I said, to boost the engagement, to keep the content fresh and all. You need a dedicated team. You need to keep your banners, your announcements, your events, your news, everything up to date so that your employees stay relevant and they are aware of what is happening, not that they get to know after the fact. So here in ServiceNow, our employee communications team has taken a pivotal role. So what they do is all the announcement banners, what you see on, and I'll show you in just a moment, but the announcement banners is something, it's a no-code platform. You might have seen the product, content experience product. So it's a completely no-code capability. Our comms team, they are completely managing it. They have the intake process, and what they do is they keep a tab on, hey, what are the comms planned from the HR side? What are the comms planned from the workplace services side? So they have a cadence around to touch base with all our department functions or business functions, and then they have a calendar around it, and based on that they create the content and they keep it updated. So October, November, very typical. Your benefits enrollment session happens. So the banners get updated accordingly. They have the employee communications team have the calendar whose banners are coming when, and so there is a lot of process and ownership which has been done, and they keep the banners updated. And what happens when they are doing the front end of it, when they are taking the business ownership of all these, keeping the content fresh, there is an IT team behind the scenes who are helping them with any kind of a technical issues they are facing with. Sometimes the audience criteria, it is a bit complex. How do you define the audience basis and all that? Maybe a new country has gotten added and their data is yet to come. Then how do we create an audience for that? Those kind of corner cases. So that's where IT team comes very supportive, and they take the technical ownership, help with the upgrades and all that. So this is the ongoing thing. In your organization, probably try something like have a dedicated team who is responsible for keeping the content fresh. They have their calendars, they have the content writers, and this takes off a lot of burden from the IT team as well. Next slide, please. Now let's switch the gears, because this is what we have seen on homepage, homepage governance, and then employee comms governance. How do you keep the content fresh and all? Now we'll switch the gears. How I think the most important thing happens is people are coming to seek enterprise-wide services, to seek the information in terms of knowledge-based articles and topic pages and all that. So how do we take care of this content management within ServiceNow? And as Pooja mentioned, in our scenario, it is a hybrid of both. There is a central team who oversees the thing, but then overall content management is pretty federated model. So next slide, please. Yeah, again, we have defined the principles, how we want this content governance. What are the key things, right? Again, as I said, like when employees see something, it's not that this is coming from facilities department or this is coming from HR department. They see it, the content which is more relevant for them, which they can relate to it rather than department could relate to it. So all the categorization and everything is very employee centric. Behind the scenes department own their own content, but when employee sees it, it is for them. And that's the conscious decision which has been made. And we do invest time in training the content managers. And then we also keep an audit of like, hey, this particular article is not being read in 6 months. What have happened? Or this catalog item has been hardly used. Is it a good candidate to retiring or sunsetting? Those kind of usage-driven decisions also happen. Next slide, please. So here in the federated model, again, you will see IT is in the central place, but at the same time, it is spanning out. So there are two things. One is individual business function or department, they manage their own content because they are the subject matter expertise. The legal team, they know what is absolutely needed for employees to be aware of. Nobody else can write the articles without understanding the domain knowledge. So all these business functions, they manage their own content, and then they have the regional content team supporting them. So if you see over here, so for example, HR, benefits, and employee leave policy, and so on and so forth. We have a central team which sits in the US, but then APJ, EMEA, where regulatory and compliance norms are different, stringent than their regional pillars. They create the content and they make sure that the content is everybody, all the employees spread across the globes, they have access to their content. So it is radiating outwards. Same thing is they can, as I said, they can have multiple teams. How they govern it, they have, at least in our case, it is very well set. The cadence is there, the team ownership is there, and all that. And what happens is when the major content intake, let's assume that you need to have a brand new topic page, and then topic admins come into the picture, content managers come into the picture, and they see that, is there a value to this? Is it going to have a right reach and impact? Or is it just the, we are just doing it for the sake of having the content? So these kind of conscious decisions are made. at the central team or the governance team level. And again, as previously mentioned, IT is always there to support all these business functions in terms of technical issues, resolving these issues, build complex workflows. If touchless delivery is needed for your laptop and all that, and if third parties, FedEx and everything is involved, in that case, then IT team jumps into to help. We help the business functions with the upgrades and even content creation, right? Sometimes the team is brand new, everybody is new to the ServiceNow. Then IT also enables them in creating the content and all that, so that they are equipped to manage their own content. So these are the few things I wanted to cover, how we do it within ServiceNow. Again, I'll pause here for any questions, and then it's open to you all. Let's.
Thanks, Aditi. There are like a lot of open questions. Some of them are like not necessary just for how we are doing, but in general. Let me just start with those.
Okay.
First is how, like, there is a question around, we are talking about having experience governance model, and you know how that is governed. Could that be part of the COEI operating and governance model? I guess, given we are ServiceNow, we don't have a ServiceNow Center of Excellence.
Right.
So I'll give my opinion, and Aarti, feel free to chime in. So answer is yes. We have, like, especially those organizations who have a really strong Center of Excellence for ServiceNow. Having the Center of Excellence own the portal, especially the driving the employee experience piece of it, is extremely helpful. In fact, it gives immediate value for the Center of Excellence. It's a way for the Center of Excellence to show immediate value of having them be there. So, Nick, the answer to your question is definitely yes. If you have a Center of Excellence and innovation, you should try to tie in the central team for portal governance, especially experience governance, with that team.
Yeah, that helps, and then it brings everybody on board, and then the communication wise and everybody is being updated, so it's very effective. Nick.
Thanks. Thanks, Aditi. So this question, another question that just came in, I think is more suitable for you. It says, if your HRST module is managed by your HRIS function, how does IT integrate?
So it all depends on how HRIS function, how you're equipped. In our scenario, what happens is, let's assume you want to enable the journey accelerators, right? So all the business requirements. So there is a business product manager who is there. They will tell us like what needs to be built. How does journey accelerators can be mapped in our scenario? What are the use cases and so on and so forth. But then IT comes in where the actual enablement happens. The configurations, the backend workflows are tweaked. So this is a close. So we have the business function and the IT together. Our business functions do not have any developers or any ServiceNow experts. They have more business product managers, and then IT comes in supporting them. I don't know in your scenario how is your HRIS team is equipped, if they have the development capabilities and everybody is ServiceNow, they know the platform very well, then you probably do not need that kind of a backup from IT.
Thanks, Aditi. The other question that came up is also a good one. It says, we're talking about topic admins and content managers. Are these roles going to be different from the knowledge managers and knowledge base owners? And how do these roles converge? So I'll give my opinion again, and then Aarti, please chime in. From a product perspective, they need not be the same role. There are some complications that come in if they're not the same people. One is, let's say you have one person assigned to be the topic admin and someone else, and the topic admin, let's say, is part of a central team. And you have knowledge manager assigned who owns knowledge bases. And this is very true for organizations who have a lot of knowledge bases as well. You don't want 10 people to be assigned as topic admins. You want probably just one, but you may have 10 knowledge bases that are feeding into that topic. So in these scenarios, it becomes difficult for the topic admin to know when there are changes coming in the knowledge base, unless the knowledge managers or knowledge owners are proactively engaging with the topic admin to let them know. And this often doesn't happen. So one thing that we have added, and it's coming in our February store release, is on the topic page itself, you can associate the knowledge categories within a knowledge base that feed into the topic. And the topic admin can actually see what new content has been created or changed within that knowledge category, and then port over the topic content, the content that they think is relevant for the topic. So these people don't necessarily have to speak with each other unless there is a problem. So in smaller organizations, we expect these roles to converge. In bigger organizations, depending on like number of knowledge bases, these will likely be different people, and we are building capabilities in the product to make it more easy for them to, be aware of each other's working. So we associate, no. So there are questions and coming on us to clarify the answer that I gave. You would still associate content to a topic, but at the back end, you can also build some sort of relationship with a category in the topic. So when you were doing a bulk port from a category, there was no relationship that was maintained. Now you can maintain a relationship. The connection is still with the content, but you can review what all has been updated in a given category and pull the content within the topic. So when the February release is out, you will be able to review it and see it. But essentially, you are still connecting the content and just have a relationship associated with categories so you can review what new content has been created. Russ is asking, is there a preview or overview of what will be released in the February store release? Not publicly at the moment, but we will have a blog that gets posted on ServiceNow community, which will give a full review of what the February store release contains. And it contains a lot of interesting things related to taxonomy management and topics. So just to give you a heads up. Okay, let's see. There are a couple of questions which are asking about ServiceNow to, Service Portal to Employee Center migration. We have quite a bit of content on this topic on Employee Center community. So given it's a little out of scope from this topic, I'm going to defer it to community. And if there are any follow-ups, please reach out to us and we'll respond. But that's a question that you can address via community. Okay. So there's a question around if there's an article that gets updated that is assigned to a topic and the article gets updated, how do you keep this in sync? So that gets automatically updated. So ultimately, the latest version of that article is what gets associated with the topic. So it's not a specific version that is attached to the topic. Unless you're creating a new article, which needs to be tagged. For the new articles, the capability that I was talking about in my previous answer is what will be applicable. So you can review the new article that is being created and add it to the topic. There's a question around that there are multiple scoped applications for Employee Center and it is difficult to track changes. So should we make changes in prod or make changes in non-prod and track it as an update set? Well, the generic guideline for any of these is that you should make changes in a non-production environment and track it as an update set. Having said that, the content associations is what is not captured in an update set. So the content association needs to be made in prod. And that is essentially because the non-prod and prod environments typically do not have the same content. So Gabriela is asking, how is new content assigned to a category today? It needs to be manually assigned today. The content creator needs to say that this content needs to go in a particular topic. If they miss doing that, then that content is not associated with the topic. That's the reason why the new capability that we have shipping, the topic owner, the topic admin can review what are the new content and associated, even if the content author did not do that. What are the out-of-box reporting and analytics capabilities to measure success of content and communications? So there's a lot that we have with user experience analytics. We also have a lot of content analytics, and you can tie it with Google Analytics as well. We will, in the interest of time, I'm going to defer you to product docs on this, but search for user experience analytics as well as content analytics. All right. So we're up on time, and I can see there are a few more questions that we haven't answered, but we will get back to you with a written answer. Please go back to the Employee Center community page and the event page associated with with portal governance, and we will have an FAQ posted on that. Thank you, Aarti, for leading the session today. And very, very happy New Year to you all. I hope you enjoyed this session. Thank you.
Thank you.